Good evening, everyone. My name is Romel Viñas, and I will be your host for today's webinar. I am a mental health awareness advocate and currently studying BS Psychology at Our Lady of Fatima University, Quezon City campus. So, before we begin, if any of you have questions regarding the discussion, don't hesitate to send them to us by entering it in the comment section of whatever social media platform you're watching this on. And I'll be here to cater to them for our guest speaker. Welcome to the live webinar series of ESME.ph, an e-learning marketplace for Filipino professionals where one can develop relevant and in-demand skills through master classes in different fields of learning. If you want to learn more about us, feel free to visit our page at www.esme.ph. For those who are watching on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, feel free to share this link to the people who you think will be interested in today's topic. So this webinar is in partnership with ASEAN Youth Organization, an ASEAN approved nonprofit organization that spreads awareness of ASEAN to over 200 million young people in Southeast Asia. This webinar is also brought to you by Rotary Club of Alabang Madrigal Business Park. So for our topic for today is all about technology, past, present, and future. So every day we may not notice it because of how we're also used to it. Technology follows our every action because technology is in almost, yeah. So every single thing we use as we move forward to a society that relies on more technologically advanced tools in machinery, we find ourselves in different condition in terms of how we keep up with the progressive science behind of all of the things around us. So for our guest speaker holds a vital role in Easy Solution PH, a company that offers a comprehensive suite of BPO solution that accommodates all business backgrounds. Aside from being well exposed to the world of business, he also taught undergraduate classes in Berkeley College relative to his experience in human resource management. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome the Vice President of Easy Solution, Marty Fenton.
Maraming salamat for that warm welcome, Romel. And magandang
Hello, Mr.
hapon
Fenton.
sa inyo lahat. Okay, as you can see, I am not Filipino. I'm an American, and I'm not youth. I'm a little bit older than you. So let's talk about that. I guess we'll start with the business that EC Solutions is in. We're here in Bulacan, and we're a BPO. And BPOs, for those of you who don't know, the Philippines leads the world in business process outsourcing. We're the #1 offshore process outsourcing location in the world. It's a big part of our economy. And I want to take you back to when I was a young man. I first came to the Philippines in 1980. And in 1980, I wanted to call my parents in New York. And back then, I had to stand in line for a very long time, and I had to fill out a paper, and then an operator had to place an international call, and a 5-minute call cost me $25 US, which is, I think, a little more, about maybe 2,800 pesos for 5 minutes. So could we have a BPO? Could we have a call center in 1980? No. Well, what's changed? How did we get to where we are now? And so that's what I want to talk about. And I think one of the things I can help you with is to take you back in my life and show you how things have changed. And then we're going to look at things that have changed over the years. And then we're going to look at the future. And the future is yours. So please feel free anytime you want to ask a question. If I don't make any sense, please let me know. We can talk if you have any questions at all. So if we can begin with the slides, let's do that. Okay. So here we go. So again, this is our address. And by the way, we are hiring. So if you want to go to our website, it's EC Solutions PH. Don't forget to put the PH in there, .com. And keep in touch. All right, let's begin. So I'm going to take you back to when I was young. I'll say 10 years old. I was born in 1959. Does anybody know what happened in the world? What the big event was that happened in 1969? Anybody? Well, we landed men on the moon. And boy, was that a really big boost in technology. So we're going to talk about that. Believe it or not, I'm going to wait until the end of the presentation to talk about that. But let's talk about how we got to where we were. And one of the things I'm going to encourage you. Let's go ahead and move the slide. We're going to take a look at mistakes that companies and people have made in the past, and we'll start from there. So if we can move to the next slide. Where are we? Is the slide presentation there? There we go.
Yeah.
All right. So 20th century. I was born in the 20th century. Maybe some of you were not. How many of you were born in the 21st century? I'll tell you, things have certainly changed. So let's go back and we'll look at some people and some things that have changed in the century the 20th century goes back to 1900. So that's when my grandparents were born in 1906 and 1909, and my parents were born in the 1930s, and I was born in the 1950s. So how many of you have seen this name Tesla? There's a fellow who makes cars now, electric cars, named Tesla. Well, he got that name from a fellow named Nikola Tesla, who invented the radio. At the same time, another guy in Italy named Marconi also said that he invented radio. So if you read about the invention of radio, there's a lot of disagreement. You know, not everybody agrees on who really invented that. And then we had the airplane in 1903. And again, there's different people who claim to be the first. But I want to take a look here at 1928. Philo T. Farnsworth. He was an amazing guy. Philo T. Farnsworth invented television when he was in high school. And he grew up in the western United States, and he was a farmer. And when he was 15 years old, he didn't want to be a farmer. He thought he was really smart, and he liked science in school, but his father said, well, we're farmers, and we're going to farm. And one day, he was looking. Did you ever look when you plow a field, how it has lines that go back and forth? And he looked at those lines, and he had the idea that if I could make something electronic from a camera, make those lines, I might be able to show people something on a screen. And that idea became television. He was a high school student, a teenager, when he invented television. You could do that. You could be the one to do that. Nuclear power has been around for almost 70 years, and believe it or not, we have teenagers right now who are developing brand new nuclear reactors that are the size of a refrigerator that can power 100 homes without using the sun, without using wind, and without using anything that pollutes the air. So those are things. Microwave ovens. I grew up without microwave ovens. Do you think you could live without a microwave oven? What do you do when your food is cold? You know, but the big change in my lifetime was space travel. In 1962, I can't remember 1962, but I was a little young guy, and we had a president, John F. Kennedy, and he made a promise that before the end of the 1960s, we were going to put people on the moon. And guess what? In 1969, we did. He had died by that time. He made a promise, and he asked Americans to fulfill that promise, and we landed on the moon. Now, how many of you want to see, can some of you type in a question or an answer on this one? How many of you think that space travel is important? Do you think it changed your life? Can you think of some ways that it changed your life? I'm going to tell you. Anybody? Let's look at the next thing, cell phones. What happens when you use your cell phone? Your cell phone sends a signal to a tower. So you see a tower here. What happens after that? That tower sends the signal to outer space. And it hits a satellite that's way, way, way up high that was put up there by space, by rockets. And then it bounces it back down to another tower somewhere else, and it could be anywhere in the entire world. So if we didn't go to space, you wouldn't be able to use cell phones. How about digital photography? Did anybody ever wonder why aren't there very many pictures of your parents the way there are with you? Did you ever notice that? They're all printed on paper and they're old, and some of them might be black and white, and they don't have as many. Did you ever wonder why? Well, the reason why was before digital photography that we all have on our phones right now. When you had a camera, you had to put film in the camera, and you had to take the film out, and you had to take it to somewhere, and they'd process that film and then print it on paper. And it was kind of expensive, and it took time. Sometimes it took 2 weeks to get your pictures back. We didn't get pictures in 1 minute the way we do now. So digital photography changed a lot of things, and I'm going to show you how that changed your entire life. I mean, how many of you like to take pictures of your lunch or your friends? How many of you take a lot of selfies? Do you do that? No, I know you do because I see your Facebook posts and your Instagram posts. So, all right, let's move on to the next slide. Okay. Can I move the slides?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, one of the things I want to teach you, and I think it's important for everybody to know that I don't want you to be afraid to make mistakes. Are you afraid to make mistakes?
Of course.
Yeah, because if you don't make mistakes, you'll never learn anything. We really do learn from our mistakes. So I want to show you some big mistakes. Kodak is a really interesting one. Kodak was the biggest company in the world. They invented most of the things that I grew up with about photography. They invented the film. They were the biggest maker of film in the world, and they had a very, 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 very big place in Rochester, New York, which is not far from where I grew up. And they made cameras, and they made they were the #1 seller of cameras and film in the entire world. And it was a great place to live, and there were so many great jobs. But in the 1980s, things started to change, and by the 90s and into 2000, digital photography took over. And Kodak didn't think it would happen, so they never changed. And guess what? They went out of business. They still exist, but they really are almost gone. Thousands and thousands of people lost their jobs. Well, guess what? Kodak invented digital technology in 1976, but they didn't think anybody would ever be interested. So they lost. Western Union. Everybody knows what does Western Union do? You think of Western Union as somebody that you could use to send money.
Yes.
But back 150 years ago, yeah, what Western Union used to be was a place that you could use a telegraph. A telegraph was what we had before telephones, and it was just an electric signal that you had to use a code, and then feed that and turn it in, and then type some letters. Okay. Well, when the telephone was invented 150 years ago, Western Union was offered a chance to get the patent for that and make telephones, but they said, nah, I don't think that the owner of Western Union said, well, after careful consideration of your invention, we said this to Alexander Graham Bell, who invented the telephone, we've come to the conclusion that there's no commercial possibilities. What use could this company have of they thought it was a toy, that nobody would ever actually want to talk to each other on the phone. Could you imagine life without phones? In 1943, that was during the middle of World War II, the CEO of IBM, we had first started inventing computers. And he said that I think that maybe there'll be a use in the entire world, the whole world, for 5 computers. You think he was wrong? I know people who own 5 computers in their own home. How many of you are YouTubers? Any YouTubers out there?
Include me, sir.
Okay, how many phones do you have?
Sorry,
How many phones do you have?
I only have one.
Oh, okay. Well, my wife is a YouTuber and she has 6 phones.
Also,
So, yeah, lots of people have, and their phone today is really a computer. 20th Century Fox is a company that makes movies. And in 1947, they took a look at television and they said that it won't be able to hold any market for more than 6 months. They just said people would get so tired of staring at a. Back then, they used to televisions used the outside instead of plastic. It was wood. It was plywood, and they said nobody would want to sit and look at that every night. How long could you go without television? Yeah. All right, and now here's a great one. Microsoft. Microsoft CEO was offered an opportunity to buy Google in 2004. He said Google's not a real company. It's a house of cards, meaning it'll fall down. You think that was a good idea? Now, Blockbuster, I don't know if anybody can remember what Blockbuster was, but is anybody old enough to remember when you had to go and rent a tape if you wanted to see a movie? Does anybody remember that? No? I hope somebody does. But there used to be video rental stores, and people would go there and they would get their favorite movie, and then you would borrow the tape and bring it back in 2 or 3 days. And during that time, Netflix came up with the idea of streaming movies, and they offered to sell the company to Blockbuster, and Blockbuster said, no, nobody will ever want to do that. Well, if you find a VHS tape today, you probably will find it in the trash because nobody uses them anymore. So those were all bad ideas, but those were great technologies that people didn't think. So we're gonna, as we move along, we're gonna think of like, what are the technologies that you might encounter? Because things are gonna change. There's been a lot of change in life, but things are gonna change more. Okay, let's see if we can move to the next one. All right, here's another big one. YouTube. 15 years ago, Steve Chen, the owner of YouTube, actually said there's just not that many videos that people would want to watch. Does anybody have any idea how many videos are on YouTube now?
no.
Billions. Billions. There's nothing you can't find on YouTube. You can learn another language, you can learn how to cook something, or how to fix your car, or any kind of music or dancing. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. And so he actually sold YouTube to Google for $1.6 billion. Now that seems like a lot of money. Does anybody have any idea how much Google is worth today? Google is $1 trillion company. It's worth about 2 trillion US dollars. That would be quadrillions in pesos. So it's a lot of money. So those were big mistakes. And so people took a look. And so now we have to think for ourselves, like, what ideas are out there that we have to decide, is this a good idea or a bad idea? Okay, so 1995, the CEO of a company named 3Com, that probably people haven't heard, this is what he said. He said, I predict the internet will soon spectacularly, supernova is when in the stars, when they explode and they disappear. They just supernova in 1996 and catastrophically collapse. In other words, he said that the internet will not only never last, he said it will just blow up. It will disappear. He also said that if he was wrong, he would eat his words. And a year later, in 1997, when the internet had gotten really, really big, he went to a presentation that had Steve Jobs from Apple. And Steve Jobs remembered what he said, and he came up on the stage with a blender. He put that speech in the blender, spit it up, and put water in it, and he actually ate it. He ate his words. Let's not have to do that. Okay. All right. So let's move along. All right. Here's a couple other ones in 1981. Now, did anyone ever see what a cell phone used to look like a long time ago? They were huge. They were this big. And in 1981, this Marty Cooper, who was a pioneer in he was one of the people who invented cell phones technology, and he said that they'll never replace wire systems. Well, they did. And here's a really old one. In 1929, has anybody ever seen a silent movie? When movies first came out, they didn't have any sound. They would have somebody play a piano, ding, 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 and they would just have words like subtitles. And when this idea of movies where people talk was invented in 1929, the inventor actually said talking films are very interesting. They're an interesting invention, but I don't believe they'll remain long in fashion.
Yeah. No.
You could watch a silent movie, Nico says that he has, but I don't think they will hold your attention for very long. All right, and then this is a really long time ago. In 1903, the president of the Michigan Savings Bank, and this is somebody who, Henry Ford, who was the first person to really make cars. He didn't invent them, but he was the first person to make lots of them and make them affordable. He wanted to borrow money from the bank, and the bank really said the horse is here to stay, but the automobile is just a fad. They said, we're not going to invest money in this. I don't think people will ever actually want to drive cars. Everybody would rather ride a horse. Anybody ever ridden a horse? They're animals. They're not like a car. They don't do exactly what you want them to do. And they don't always smell so good. So sometimes people are wrong about technology. So, all right, let's see what we got. All right, so let's look at what we've got today. Okay, is anybody familiar with the idea of blockchain technology? Okay, I'm going to connect you an idea that you already know about, and the common use for blockchain technology is cryptocurrency, and the one that most people know is Bitcoin. Okay, so cryptocurrency is a thing that's not going to go away. It's going to become more and more. Many banks here in the Philippines are using it. And what blockchain technology does is it creates an electronic, a digital chain, and each block, if you think about it, it has a contract in it, and the contract is digital. It's like a written contract that you would sign if you borrowed money or something, but it's a digital electronic. Yeah, we have a question. Did we have a question?
Is this referred to as a digital ledger?
Yes, exactly. It's a ledger, and within the ledger, exactly. So now that's one use of blockchain technology. So there could be others, but if you're thinking about currency, it's a ledger, exactly. So what's different about the digital ledger in the blockchain is that each entry into the ledger can be used by many millions of people, in fact, and each one has what's called a hash, not a hash tag, it's a hash, but it's sort of a code. And they're really long and very complicated. And in order for that entry into the ledger, like say you purchased some Bitcoin, you purchased some money, you use your hash, and then there's about 6,100 computers and people in the chain, in the blockchain, who are called miners. And what they have to do is they have to verify that your information was correct, that your hash was correct, that the security is correct, and they have to agree. They have to reach what's called a consensus. So 50% of those 6,100 people have to look at your entry in that ledger and they have to agree that it's accurate. And they have to do that, you ready for this? In 10 minutes. So if you're a hacker, you have 10 minutes to hack 6,100 computers all over the world, and they're all supercomputers. And so it's actually very, very secure. And we're thinking about using that technology for lots and lots of different things. But in your lifetime, I promise you that blockchain technology is going to be a big part of your life. And how many of you have noticed here in the Philippines, especially, that banks are trying to move to a cashless society? How many of you have an app on your phone that you use instead of money? You might have GPay, you might use Grab, you might use, there's a lot of alternatives. And in fact, can anybody think of a way that technology might help us with COVID-19? Can you think of it? I'm going to tell you how. The dirtiest thing that you touch every day is money. If you get a 20 peso note in the sari store, that note has been handled by lots and lots of people, and they may not have washed their hands. But if you use your phone and just go, it's very clean. You don't touch anybody. You don't touch anything. And the technology is making it more and more trustworthy, that we can very quickly and very accurately keep track of money and other things. So that technology is going to be a big part of your life. So if you're interested in some of the things I'm talking about here now, if you like math and science, this is a good time to be interested in math and science, because the world is really changing. The next thing is nanotechnology. Now, the word nano means 1 billionth.
Like,
yeah, it's very hard to imagine. So a nanometer is 1 billionth of a meter. Just to give you an idea, an NBA basketball player, most of them are about 2 billion nanometers tall. And to give you another idea, a piece of paper is about 75,000 nanometers, and one of your hairs, your bohok, is about 50,000. If I reduced everybody in the world to the size of a nanometer, everybody in the whole world would fit here. Everybody in the whole world, 6 billion people, because it would only be 6. Yeah. So it's very small. And what can nanotechnology do? Well, it makes things much smaller, and things change in physics when we make things smaller. We're talking about smaller than atoms. So the melting point of metals can be changed. That's very important for building construction. It can help us make stronger buildings they'll be able to stand up after earthquakes or fires or things like that. Fluorescence refers to light. So there's an awful lot of technology that can be used with light in medicine. We can use fluorescence to look inside of your body. We're gonna today people will go to a hospital and you have an X-ray or an MRI, but in the future you may not even need to visit a hospital for a doctor to look inside your body and see what's going on. Electrical conductivity. Now I'm going to end the presentation talking a little about computer technology, but electrical conductivity has a lot to do with computation. And what it does is, the smaller the parts of a computer chip, the more information we can put in a much smaller area, and we can make it much, much faster. Magnetic permeability, we can have trains that would be able to take you from, say, Baguio to Manila in less than an hour.
Hmm? Really?
Yeah, those trains already exist in some parts of the world. There's already some in China and in Europe. There are some trains that go 300 kilometers per hour, and they're actually magnetic. They don't even touch the railing. They're suspended, and it's just magnetic current that propels them, that gets them to move forward. And the next final thing nanotechnology can do is change chemical reactions. And that's going to have tremendous benefits in the field of medicine. Um, what we're already experiencing with nanotechnology is that when somebody gets a cancer, let's say they have a tumor, what we have often been doing is we poison their whole body with very, very awful chemicals that make them very sick, and their hair falls out, and they vomit, and they almost die. But it kills the cancer. Well, now we're going to start developing drugs that can go right straight to that tumor and kill those cells without harming any other part of your body. And these are simple things that I'm describing, and some of you, if you're studying technology, you may know a lot more about this than than I do. But these are things I want you to look at today, because these are the things that are really going to shape the future. And I think the final one that's really going to be a big part of your future is AI. Has anybody experienced artificial intelligence? You know what it is.
Mm.
All right. Alexa, there we go. That's a great one. Yes, Alexa or Siri. How does a computer answer questions? Okay, so there's a programming that goes into computer systems that comes from people. But basically, artificial intelligence is when a computer can write its own code. It can change itself. Once it can change itself, then we're moving in the direction of computers being able to think. Now, can a computer think the way a person can? Not exactly, but some of the things that computers can do, they can do a lot faster than people can. Here's a great example. People in your generation are putting a lot of photographs into the ether, into the world. You're going on Instagram, you're going on Facebook, you're going on Twitter, you're putting your picture out there. Has anybody ever heard of facial recognition software? Facial recognition software can actually look at the structure of your face, your eyes, the shape of your nose and your mouth, and it can be used to identify you. And police are using this in different parts of the world, and casinos are using it to see if you're a cheater, or banks. Now, one of the challenges we have with facial recognition is this. What is everybody doing when you go out in public right now? Does your face look the same as it did a year ago? Or does it look like this? So, can the computer figure out who you are if there's a picture of you with a mask?
Even recognize you.
It's possible that it can. It is actually possible that it can do that. So we just don't know yet. We don't know where that's going to go. But what we do know is that everybody wants things to be different. So the big question is, and this is a question honestly that's a part of your future, not my. Well, I mean it's part of my future, but yours will be more because you're going to be around a lot longer than I will. Is the big question is, can computers think? I don't know. Can your phone think?
Uh,
Well, let me ask you about this one. Go on to one of your social media sites and look at the advertisements that you get. Did you ever wonder, how does Facebook know that I might want to buy this when you see an ad? How do they know that?
is it about the algorithm?
Yes, exactly. Algorithms in artificial intelligence are allowing the computer software to make changes to itself and actually predict your behavior. Does that scare you? Do you want everybody to know everything about you? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not. So there's a few things that artificial intelligence, I think, that it can look at is that we're going to ask ourselves in the future a few questions about computers. Is that can computers think? Well, maybe they will. There's some I there's some evidence already that they can write and change their own algorithms and think. Um, but the question really is, do we want them to do that? What if we don't agree with them? What if they start doing things we don't want them to do? And that's a big question, and you will see a lot of movies about that topic. And so these are questions that I think you all need to answer for yourselves. So if any of you are taking notes, is this slide's going to be available for people to look at after we're done, right? So if you have some interest, I would urge you to go onto YouTube and just take these different areas that you think you might be interested in. And there's lots of great videos on YouTube that will explain things in maybe 5 or 10, maybe 20 minutes, but they will help you to understand these things. And if you haven't done it, one of my biggest suggestions would be get comfortable with what are called TED Talks, TED. And there's hundreds of them on YouTube, and they're really wonderful. They're experts in almost anything you could imagine, and the people who do it will really teach you a lot. And they do it in a short period of time. None of them are long presentations like the one I'm doing now. So let's finish up here, and then I'm going to open up for questions. So if we can go to the last slide. All right. I promised you that I was going to talk to you about my past. So in July of 1969, I was just a little bit, I was 10 years old in August of 1969. We landed on the moon. And in 1969, the computer that landed us on the moon was about the size of the room that I'm sitting in now. Actually, maybe a little bit bigger. It was a little bigger than my office. And it was very big. It was very loud. And everybody take a look at your own phone. And if you have your phone here, I want you to go to your settings and go down, depending on whether you have an Android or whatever, go click on About Phone. Okay, and so if you look at your phone, you'll see it'll say, you see mine. I don't have a really great phone, but my RAM is six gigabytes. That is about 600,000 times the speed of the computer that we sent people to the moon on. Some of you might have a terabyte. So if you have a terabyte, your phone is about 1,000,000 times faster and more powerful than the computer that was used to send men to the moon, and you could hold it in your hand. What else does your phone do? What are some of the things your phone can do? It's a camera, right?
Yeah.
It's a camera. What else? Yeah. What's Google?
It's Google.
Well, I'm going to compare Google to when I was in high school. When I was in high school, the thing that we had that you used Google for was called a library. And we had to go to the library with a pen, a ball pen, and we had to look at books, and we had to write what was in the books and then give the book back. So we did not have the information that you have today. You can find out information on Google very fast. You can also contact your friends. I told you that in 1980, I paid $25 for a 5-minute phone call from here in the Philippines to New York. So about, I think, let's see how much it's. I'm going to use my phone here. Oh, by the way, when I was in high school, we didn't have calculators. So, no, I'm sorry, it's about 1,200 pesos for a 5-minute phone call. How much does it cost for you to talk to somebody in another country now? Nothing. You can use Skype, you can use Messenger, you can talk to anybody anytime you want, and you can not only talk to them, you have a camera. You can see each other just the way we do now. When I was in high school, we had no idea that this was ever going to happen. So what I want to do now, we've got a little less than 15 minutes left, and I want to open it up, and please ask me some questions. And you don't have to ask a question if you just want to share something with us. If you want to tell a story, you can do that too, okay? So I'm going to leave it to you right now. You tell me, what I want to know is, what do you think is next? What do you think is going to happen in your lifetime? What are your children going to see? What do you think?
Mr. Fenton, I have this few questions here.
Okay.
In a world of technology is becoming as progressive as the human mind, in your own opinion, will there come a time where technology is going to be the living factor in society?
Well, I don't think I'm a person that can answer that question, but those are questions that I think we're posing right now. Is what is going to be the role of people versus computers? And actually, I mentioned artificial intelligence, and then there's something else I also didn't mention, and that's robotics.
So you think, are we living it right now?
Well, I think what's going to happen is I think that the jobs and the things that people do are going to change a lot, a real lot. For example, has anybody gone into Jollibee or McDonald's and used a kiosk?
But in this generation where the online classes are now being proliferated in schools and universities, in your opinion, what will it take for a third world country to be more technically advanced?
Okay, well, I'm going to go very far back as early as you can in your life. And one of the things I would encourage you to do is, first of all, start to enjoy school.
Oh yeah.
And in school, everybody wants to go to university, even high school, and make friends, and that's a good thing. But at the same time, this is your chance to learn the basics that you need. If you really want to understand technology, you need to get comfortable with math. You need to get comfortable with science. So, for example, look at the things you're interested in. If what I talked about, for example, nanotechnology has so many different applications. So, if you're interested in medicine, for example, you need to study chemistry and biology. If you're interested in physics, like some of the magnetic and things that computers might do, you might want to study physics or computer science. And none of those things are going to be easy for you to do if you don't have a good basic foundation in math. So that's an important thing for you to study. Now, the beauty of it is that math is so much easier for you to learn than it was for me. Has anybody ever studied trigonometry? When I studied trigonometry in high school, we had to look up sine, cosine, and tangent on a piece of paper in the back of the book. And we had to find a line that had the angle and then find the tangent, and it would be 0.09436, whatever. Today, all you need to do is go, so take advantage of that. Learn to love it. Really learn to enjoy it. Don't be afraid to be a nerd. If you think that nerds are people you want to make fun of, let me promise you this. If you're 20 years old and you think that your classmate is a nerd, you're going to be working for him someday, or her. Because those are the people that are going to lead the future, the people that understand technology. Anything else?
Mr. Sorry.
Did you have another question?
Yeah. What do you think? Where does the Philippines lack in terms of keeping up with technology?
The Philippines?
Yeah,
Well, I think that the Philippines has the tools that you need in order for people to do that. Uh, we're not the richest country in the world, but we're certainly not the poorest. So we do have, for example, most of you obviously all have access to the internet, and not everybody does. So have fun with your technology, but remember that if you spend 10 hours a day watching TikTok, that's not gonna give you the skills that you need to advance in technology. So you definitely want to use all the things that are available to you, and that's a combination of two things. It's your teachers and your university, um, your classroom and your libraries and your things that you have access to there. But it's also you have access to everything in the world. Do you know how many free classes there are online in the world? You can take a class at Harvard for free. I can show you all how to do that.
really?
Yeah, I'll do it right now. Let me give you. I'm going to post it here. Um, I will post the. I'm going to post a. Here we go.
It's Harvard. Like,
Yes. Well, you can't get a certificate from these schools, but you can attend. Um, you can attend them. Yeah, here we go. edx.com. And you take a look at that. Yes, they have free classes from Harvard and Princeton and Yale and MIT. MIT offers almost all of its classes online free. You won't get a degree. You won't get a printed certificate. You have to pay for those, but you can attend the classes and learn without paying any money. Trust me. uh, I went to Cornell University, which is an Ivy League school. It's very expensive, but there's a lot of ways, and I'm going to let you stay in touch with me. So if you have questions, please ask me and let me know, and I will show you what resources are out there. But again, learn to get comfortable. My advice, if you want to get ahead and you're young right now, is learn to get comfortable, learn to actually enjoy learning. And again, it's a discipline. If you simply want to spend all your time watching people dancing the spaghetti dance, and that's fun and that's great, and do that and enjoy it. But if you have 10 hours a day online and you spend 8 hours learning something and 2 hours having fun, you're going to be leading the world. And if you do it the other way around, you're going to be working for someone else. That's the truth. We have a nice business here. This BPO is here because my partners, my bosses, they work they're Filipinos, and they work very hard to, for many, many years to build a building of their own here in Bulacan. And we work, the people here and the leadership of the company, some days we work for 15 hours. We work very hard, but our goal is to find people like you and put you to work and give you a good future. And that takes a little bit of work. So if you just want to play all the time, life is not going to be so easy for you. Okay? But you
yeah.
don't have to work all the time. You can still enjoy your life, believe me. All right, any more questions?
Oh, speaking of technology, is the Philippines ready for the kind of technological advancement that those countries in the western part of the world currently have, or about to utilize in their system?
Well, I think we're more than ready. In fact, we're already using most of the technology that I described. There are medical facilities here that are using nanotechnology and doing research in that area. There are some of the BPOs and even some of the technology companies here are using artificial intelligence. So yeah, I think we're ready. But I'm going to answer this honestly. Not everybody is ready. The country is ready, but not all of the people. Again,
No.
And this is not only the Philippines, it's every country in the world. If you spend most of your day watching television or watching things on your phone, you're not going to lead the world in technology. You've got to spend some of that time learning. The biggest thing that's going to be different for your generation compared to mine, and it really isn't, is that everything in your life is going to change. It's going to change fast. It's going to change, in amazing ways, and you have to keep up with it. And if you don't keep up with it, you're going to get left behind. So it really won't matter where you are. It's going to matter is what you do with your life. So be a,
So,
be a leader. Be a leader. Yeah.
yeah. So, do you think is that what makes for the Philippines to uh, to be not as technologically advanced as Japan and Korea? I think.
Well, in some ways, we're moving in that direction already. It, I can tell you that I came here for the first time in 1980, and in 1980, we didn't have the kind of malls that we have today,
Yep.
the kind of things that you see already, and it's we're still a little bit behind of places like Japan and Korea, but we're moving in that direction already. And I also traveled to Japan and Korea in the 1980s, and they were not as advanced then as they are now. So there's absolutely no reason that Philippines and Filipinos cannot move in that same direction, but it's going to take doing what the Japanese and Korean and Chinese people do, which is make learning a very big important part of your life, and um, and we will get there. Yeah, we will get there. I'm sitting right here in a place where there's a lot of technology. And think about what I'm doing. I'm not in New York. I'm in Fullerton. I'm not in Alabang. I'm not in the most advanced, place that you would expect to see things. If I go outside, there's still chickens and all that. But we do have the technology, and it's available to us. It's just a matter of applying ourselves. And if you want a place to start, come join us. You know, we need good people. Okay. Anything else? Be
Uh,
confident. Be confident.
in your opinion, where should Filipinos focus more on in order to take a step into being more appropriate with the technological advancement of the world?
Um, Let me see if I can make that a little more simple. I think that for everybody who's listening right now today to embrace technology, the most important thing is that you focus your life on learning and getting that that idea in your mind that I don't always need to watch a dance video, that I can watch a TED talk, or I can listen to a presentation like you're doing right now and learn from it. And then what you have to do after that, after we're done, is you have to sit down and you have to make a plan.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make a plan. You have to make an idea of what is the next step. If you think you're interested in blockchain technology, go look at some videos on blockchain technology. There's lots of them. Or artificial intelligence, or maybe something that I didn't even bring up. Languages are important. Uh, study English. If you have the the nerve to do it, study Chinese. I lived in China and I speak read and write Chinese. You won't do that easily, but work hard, play hard, and enjoy your life. That's my biggest suggestion for all of you. Does that help?
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, I want to leave this, one of my favorite speakers from when I was young is a fella named Zig Ziglar. He's passed away now, but he said something to me when I was young, and I'm going to say it to all of you, is I want you to take this time after you're done and you make a plan and you make some goals and you decide where do I want to be and how am I going to get there. And I will see you, and I really do mean you at the top. Okay? That's my best advice. Have confidence in yourself. If you are absolutely in the right place, you're doing exactly what you need to be doing right now. You could be watching It's Showtime or TikTok videos, but you're sitting here thinking of a way to make your life better. Keep doing that. Still have fun. Still go out with your friends and do things, and dance and sing and karaoke, but study and learn and get, embrace this technology that the world is offering you because it's yours. My generation created a lot of technology. I'm the same age as Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Larry Ellison. You know, it's your turn now. It's your world. Okay? And again, all right. We just got a couple minutes left. Anything else?
That's all.
Okay, great. And again, I'm going to give you one more since we do have a couple more minutes. I'm going to give you one more piece of advice here, and I'll write it in the chat. But I want you to all remember this. You can have everything in life that you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. Okay? So my advice is invest time in yourself and help each other. You can have everything in life that you want if you will help enough other people get what they want. Live by that. God will reward you if you do that, okay? All right, I think we're almost down to the end here. If there's any last question, now's the time to ask it. If not, I thank you all for your time and for your attention. And again, I'm Marty from EC Solutions. We're at ecsolutionsPH.com here in Palipag, Bulacan. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Marty Fenton. Is there anything else you would like to promote? Oh, sorry.
Thing here,
So, okay. Oh, you're still there. Mr. Fenton, is there anything you would like to promote?
No, just if you just connect, just show our website, web address in whatever you have, and so that they know that we're here. And yeah, I see it on the Chiron there, so that's great. And if there's another topic you want me to talk about, I can do another one sometime in the future. Okay.
So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye. So, for everyone who attended this webinar, all you can get a digital certificate of your attendance. Just visit our website at www.esme.ph or click on the link that we posted in the comment section down below. So, before this webinar comes to close, I would like to invite everyone who wants to learn more and increase their knowledge and skills. Just visit our website at www.esme.ph. So we offer a wide range of masterclasses courses, those of which you can enroll in based on whatever is relevant to your passion, career, and interest. So thank you so much, everyone, to all who attend this webinar. And thank you and bye. See you next time in our next webinar.